What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV, aka Darth Apocalypse. Let's talk about Stephen A. Smith, right? So, Stephen A. Smith, ever since he signed that, I think it was a 5 year, $100 million contract with ESPN, ever since he signed that new contract with ESPN, he's been allowed contractually to speak more on politics and social issues, as he's done so on his own YouTube podcast, as he's done on Sirius XM Radio, and as he's also done on various opinions on different political shows, including Real Time with Bill Maher and Fox News, CNN, etc. He's trying to extend himself outside of just sports. Um, that's fine. That's fine. And look, when you talk politics, it's a very divisive subject. Outside of religion, it is the most divisive subject uh, that you can engage in. And if you're not dealing with people who aren't emotionally intelligent enough to deal with dissension or deal with different opinions, it's the type of stuff that can cause rifts and end friendships. So if you're going to get into that realm, don't get surprised if people who formerly fuck with you stop messing with you, because that's how serious some people take these issues. So I'm kind of surprised at Stephen A. Smith's naivete when it comes to the reactions of some of his fellow broadcasters and journalists. So recently, of course, I think it was National Association of Black Journalists, I think it's meant the name of it. They gave him the annual 2026 Thumbs Down Award for, in particular, as they see it, his disrespect toward Black women, right? So he came back in a huff and a tizzy. And my thing is, instead of you saying, look, let me sit down with my fellow journalists, let's have a dialogue on my show. If he wants to have everything broadcast, let's have a dialogue with some of my fellow journalists who feel this way about me. Let me explain my position. Instead of keeping it in-house, you run to Chris Cuomo, you run to, Sean Hannity. You probably run to Bill O'Reilly. It's the optics of it makes it look like it almost looks like you're running to I'm just being honest. It makes it like you're running to Massa and saying, these ninjas ain't phasing me, boss. I'm gonna continue to be hard on them for you, boss. That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Yeah, we can depend on him. He's good. Useful idiot. I mean, a friend of ours. Still gonna run in 2028? Yes, boss. So you can siphon off Democratic votes to help Republicans win? Yes, sir. My grift is good. That's how it appears. So enter Jemele Hill. I'm no fan of Jemele Hill. I used to like Jemele Hill back in the day. I don't know. I thought she was. I don't people say things about her looks, but I thought she was cute. I still think she's cute. Although I'm not a fan of the blonde wigs. I'm not a fan of the blue colored or whatever the hell colored contacts she's wearing. She comes across to me as a person, a Black woman who has totally bought into the feminist agenda, which when you really listen to feminists, and when I'm talking about feminists, there's always been this anti-male agenda, and in particular, anti-Black male rhetoric. It permeates in that sphere, right? And this is also the same woman, Jemele Hill, who said that Black men were the white men of the Black community. So outside of this issue, I don't really rock with anything Jemele Hill says. But she's 100% correct here when it comes to Stephen A. Smith.
The reason I've had problems with some of the things he said is because he don't keep that same energy. If you're going to, especially in your position, being Black, have a conversation about our community, that's inside of our community, about someone who belongs to our community, you got to go into that conversation with a different sensibility. Doesn't mean you don't tell the truth, but you got to be aware and observant about certain things. The right often comes after Jasmine Crockett because of the way she speaks, because of her persona, the way she comes off. They call her ghetto. Was it Lauren Loomer with her stupid, crazy ass called her Shaniqua? Constantly insulting this woman. And here you come launching some of the same criticism. It's all right if you said, hey, I think her policies are dog shit. I think this or that. That's fine. But that's not what you attacked her for. So that's why people had a really big problem with it. And then we see Donald Trump call you stupid. He called you low IQ. He insulted your intelligence. And people were wondering, are you going to give him that Jasmine Crockett energy? And you didn't. So that's why people are like, hey, Stephen A., we're wondering exactly what is it, or why does it seem like you have a higher level of energy and criticism for the people that look like you than for the people who don't want your people to exist? When Donald Trump called you stupid, you laughed and challenged him to a debate. If Kamala Harris would have called you stupid, what would you have said? Very curious about that. And that's why people are like, what's up with this guy? And even your former colleague, my friend Carrie Champion, noted this during the Jasmine Crockett dust up. Is for years, as your colleagues, we saw one of our other colleagues, Michelle Beadle, constantly criticize you. And not in a way that is like, oh, I don't like how he feels about the Spurs, or I don't like how he feels about this team or that team. She says she actively roots for your demise. She called you everything but a child of God. I mean, it is very personal with Michelle Beadle. She made it personal and said it was personal. Nothing. Total silence. So I think people just wondering is like, why does it seem like okay, let's talk about Black athletes. For example, we note that you have a lot to say about Black athletes, but let's be fair about it. The sports that you talk about the most, the majority of athletes are Black. You say plenty of positive things about Black athletes. This is true. But we've seen some instances where with certain prominent Black athletes, it gets real personal. And when we don't see that same energy toward other athletes, people start to wonder, why does it get so personal? You know, the Kyrie Irving thing. I know you apologized. Saw that apology. But that got real personal. And why? And so it just seems like when it comes to taking a shot at your folks, you don't hesitate. You aim first and keep firing constantly. And so the question is about the energy and the evenness. Is that same energy equally distributed or distributed? Pardon my misspeak there. Is it? So that's what it was. And so that's the crux of the criticism. Now, after receiving this award, you went on your own platform first. Makes sense. Your platform. And here's what you had to say about you being given the...
Okay. So look, like I said, I don't particularly care for Jemele Hill's opinions on a lot of issues, but she's not lying here. She's staying on code when it comes to Stephen A. Smith and how he doesn't stay on code with his criticisms. For instance, he was very critical, as we all know, of Kyrie Irving when it came to COVID and how Kyrie Irving advised other players not to take the jab, how he criticized the efficacy of the jab, how he would not take the jab, right? He was very critical of his skepticism, Kyrie's skepticism of the jab. Very, very critical, to the point where he questioned, along with, his stooge, Kendrick Perkins, his protege, questioned Kyrie Irving's intelligence, right? But yet, when other athletes, like John Stockton, who happened to be white, like Aaron Rodgers, who happens to be white, right? He's not a politician. I mean, not an athlete. Well, not a professional athlete, but Joe Rogan, who is a former athlete, when he questioned the vaccine, nobody, we hear nothing. You respect their opinion, to the point where Jay Williams called you out on that. You had all of this energy, this fervor, this hatred for Kyrie, almost seemingly hatred for Kyrie. But these other guys, I respect their opinion. But you couldn't respect Kyrie Irving's opinion. Because that's part of the problem right there. Nobody respects a black man's opinion. Because who are we? We're dumb animals. And that's how it came across. Oh, I respect these white men's opinion because they're probably educated. But Kyrie don't know what he's talking about. He's just a dumb nigga to shut up and dribble. That's how it came across. When Dana White slapped the hell out of his wife, slapped the fire out of his wife on camera, we were waiting to see what you and Molly had to say. Since you guys all teamed up together to, end Ray Rice's career. So surely you have the same energy when it comes to Dana White. Nope. You gave him every excuse in the book. He made a mistake. Couples have problems. Alcohol may have been involved. All those things could have very well have been involved with Ray Rice, but you didn't care because it's a big animal nigger slapping his wife. Even though Ray Rice is only like 5'9" and 215, but they make him sound like he's 6'6", 290,000, full of nigger muscle. When Josh Giddey was accused of the unthinkable, well, we don't have all the facts. We don't have all of the information for me to talk about this on air. It would be improper. But the minute those allegations was leveled against Von Miller, you and the rest of those jigs on ESPN pulled that big ass round table out, and y'all couldn't wait to go in on Von Miller and domestic violence. Only to find out that the allegations were false. Did you guys ever go out there and apologize to Von Miller? No. And that's why we don't fuck with you, Stephen A. Smith. That's why. It ain't got nothing to do with your politics. It's because you're a grifter and you don't keep the same energy for those other folks that you do us. That's why we look at you the way we do. And that's the bottom line, because Two Raw said so. Woo! Woo!